Welcome to Full Spectrum Self-Protection. Today, in this explainer, we're zeroing in on something that's honestly profoundly misunderstood when it comes to personal safety. And that is, why do good, fully capable people just hesitate during violent situations? We're going to break down exactly what's happening inside your brain and body when danger strikes, because getting a grip on this, it's the absolute foundation of real self-protection. Okay, let's dive right into this. So, movies have kind of sold us this super dangerous illusion, right? The Hollywood hero who instantly spots danger, makes lightning-fast decisions, and just stays perfectly in control. But let me tell you, real-life chaos is messy. It is incredibly messy. When unexpected danger suddenly appears out of nowhere, the human brain actually really struggles to process what's happening. The reality is literally far from a movie script. It's a massive, jarring shock to your entire system. Which brings us to the big question, right? Why do good people freeze? Look, if you take just one thing away from this explainer, please let it be this. Freezing is absolutely not about weakness. No way. It's not a lack of courage, and it's definitely not because you secretly wanted something bad to happen. Freezing is actually a built-in design feature of your nervous system. We're wired for survival, not for looking heroic on camera. We've all grown up hearing about fight or flight, haven't we? It's everywhere. But there's this critical missing piece of the survival puzzle that we almost never talk about, and that's freeze. Under sudden, extreme stress, your nervous system can trigger this temporary, total interruption of action. It's basically an automatic override switch, pulled by your own biology when things get way too overwhelming. Let's actually look at what that physical overload feels like. When this interruption hits, movement slows down. Your thinking gets really narrow. Even just talking becomes incredibly difficult. People who've actually experienced this, they describe feeling like they're stuck in thick mud, like they're entirely disconnected from reality, kind of like the moment isn't actually happening to them. They talk about watching themselves from the outside, desperately wanting to do something, but literally completely unable to make their own limbs move. Now, what's genuinely fascinating here is the massive contrast between our ancient biology and the modern world we live in. Why did we evolve to freeze in the first place? Well, it momentarily gives the brain just a fraction of a second to scan the environment and figure out survival options. Out in nature, staying perfectly still, that can save your life. But modern violence happens with extreme speed, so this delay that was originally meant to protect us can actually become a deadly liability when an attack unfolds in the absolute blink of an eye. To understand exactly why surprise triggers this freeze response, we gotta look at how we actually navigate the world. Human beings function through prediction. Every single day, we run this prediction loop. We're constantly anticipating a normal, safe world based on standard social expectations. We expect conversations to remain civil. We expect strangers to follow basic social rules. We just assume our personal space will be respected, and that even if an argument kicks off, it'll stay purely verbal. We are constantly anticipating this normal reality. So, here is the crucial point. When an aggressor violently violates those everyday expectations, your brain actually splits in two. One part of your mind instantly recognizes the sudden, immediate danger, but the other part, it's desperately clinging to that normal world model we just talked about. Your brain is literally in conflict with itself, trying to make an insane situation make sense. And it's exactly right there, right in that conflict, where this deadly delay occurs. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why victims delay accepting danger. It's called the normalcy bias. This is honestly one of the strongest psychological effects you'll face during a crisis. Your brain has this super dangerous preference to just believe things are totally fine, even when all the evidence is screaming that they aren't. Why? Because accepting that you're in mortal danger creates massive, overwhelming stress. So the brain basically delays acceptance to shield you from that psychological overload. Have you ever caught yourself thinking something like this? Oh, he's probably just drunk. Maybe she's just having a bad day. I'm sure this won't escalate. That is exactly what normalcy bias sounds like in real time inside your head. It's your brain desperately rationalizing the threat away. The situation is moving forward, the danger is rapidly increasing, but there's this fatal gap between intellectually recognizing that something is wrong and emotionally accepting that you are in real peril. But we gotta realize, freezing isn't just biological, right? It's also highly social. From childhood, we are conditioned with these rigid rules. Avoid conflict, stay polite, obey authority, prioritize social harmony above absolutely everything else. And hey, these aren't bad values, but under pressure, they act as total traps.
When a predator uses emotional dominance, your socially conditioned brain frantically searches for a polite, acceptable solution. It wants you to keep talking or comply, even when every instinct you have is screaming at you to run. Which leads us directly to the fear of social error. People hesitate because they are absolutely terrified of overreacting. I mean, none of us want to embarrass ourselves, falsely accuse an innocent person, look paranoid, or cause a huge public scene, right? And predators understand this social hesitation intuitively. It's exactly why many dangerous people don't just attack instantly. They push boundaries gradually. They escalate step by step, creating all this confusion. And confusion, that slows your action down to a crawl.
So, the big question is, how do we fix this? Well, the goal of realistic self-protection training isn't about transforming into some tough, fearless superhero. It is entirely about reducing hesitation. It's about recognizing those patterns of violence faster so you don't become psychologically overwhelmed. Good training gives your nervous system reference points. It creates familiarity, and familiarity is what actually reduces that freeze time.
Real survival depends on rapid decisions, not just fancy physical techniques. So ask yourself, right now, can you recognize escalation early, like before a voice is even raised, before a fist is actually clenched? Because let me tell you, danger absolutely does not wait.
Can you trust your own discomfort? When something just feels off, can you actually listen to that biological alarm bell ringing in your head? Or are you going to let your desire to be polite completely override your primal instinct to survive?
Can you create distance instead of just standing there and arguing? Can you break through that intense social pressure fast enough to just walk away? Because please understand this. Once violence physically starts, your options shrink incredibly rapidly. The earlier you make a decision, the more control you retain over the whole shebang.
You know, when you see someone who looks incredibly calm under intense pressure, do not mistake that for fearlessness. Real confidence is actually just nervous system management. Those people aren't magic. They're simply more familiar with managing their adrenaline, managing uncertainty, and operating effectively under pressure. And hey, the really good news here is that these are highly trainable management skills. We're talking about breathing techniques, situational awareness, building real experience, and participating in safe scenario exposure. The goal of training these skills is not to magically eliminate fear. Fear is a totally normal, healthy biological response. The actual goal is to teach your mind and body how to function and make critical, life-saving decisions despite feeling that fear. I really want to pause here for a second because this next part is absolutely vital. Freezing does not mean failure. If you have ever been in a dangerous situation and found yourself stuck, frozen, or totally disconnected, please hear this. Nothing is wrong with you. You should feel absolutely no shame whatsoever. Your nervous system reacted exactly the way a human nervous system is literally wired to react under sudden, overwhelming stress. It is biology. It is not a character flaw. We really need to shift our mindset entirely. The important question is not, why did I freeze? The truly important question is, how do I reduce hesitation next time? It's time to move away from all that retrospective guilt and those endless what-ifs and move toward proactive, realistic preparedness. Because awareness and training can and absolutely will improve your reaction speed. Ultimately, human beings are chaotic, and violence is definitely not a movie. Under sudden danger, your nervous system can hesitate, it can deny, or it can totally disconnect. But truly understanding this reality is exactly how you prepare for it. Survival isn't just a physical thing. It is deeply, deeply psychological. It's about understanding the script your own nervous system automatically wants to follow and then training yourself to break it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now, how will you rewrite your script?